Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, welcome back to Just the Walk of Life. I'm your host, Mickey, like the mouse, but without the E. And today's episode is brought to you by 2 piping cups of tea. The first one is a beautiful green tea steeped at the perfect 80 degrees Celsius as to extract the most flavor without introducing acrid or bitter qualities. The second one is most definitely a cup of black tea brewed with boiling water to also yield maximum taste while compromising little quality. These 2 revelations have been on my mind. So let's pick up the green tea for a bit because I want to talk about it. I like to watch videos on YouTube at 2 times speed. Sometimes I will watch podcasts as well. And other times I'll listen to podcasts on Google Podcasts or Spotify now because they allow up to 3 times of the speed. Although I do prefer Google purely because they give you options in increments of 0.10. So, for example, 2.4 as opposed to 2 times and then 3 times. I'm a big advocate, or at least I was a big advocate of this. Why do I do it? I'm glad you asked. 2 years ago, I was sitting in my room on a nice summer night, eating Honey Nut Cheerios, not a sponsor, and watching documentaries on YouTube. I don't know if you can relate to this, but sometimes when you just don't have social things to do, everything becomes boring. And for me, that was definitely the case. And the only thing that didn't seem boring was to watch documentaries. So I remember distinctly I was watching a documentary on ants, learning about how they communicate, how they set up the society, and overall, basically, why they are superior to us. I was sitting there scooping cereal into my mouth, and I came up with the bright idea to speed up the video. It was half to test myself, and half because of this great plan. Let me lay it out for you. If I'm going to dedicate about 45 minutes of my life to watch this amazing documentary and learn complete trivia, I might as well speed it up and train myself to consume it faster so that I could be unproductive more productively. As in, I can learn twice as much in the same amount of time. And yeah, that's where it started. It's become a habit of mine for sure. And now I find it hard to pay attention to videos that are not sped up. My first instinct when I open up the YouTube app is to click those 3 buttons and, the 3 buttons align like a traffic light and, set the speed up a little bit higher. Unfortunately, this skill hasn't transferred over to when I'm actively trying to learn something, like in terms of a test. So during lectures, especially nowadays, some lectures are recorded. I could definitely listen and understand what the teacher is saying, but the type of person or the type of learner I am, I definitely need to slow that one down and kind of give it more time. But for all other intents and purposes, I am pretty proficient when it comes to consuming media at twice the speed. So the side effect, as I recently found out, was because I kept exposing myself to these speeds, and I got accustomed to them, I started to think that everyone kind of took the same pacing in life. And so as a, direct result, I started to speak faster, and it became super prevalent in the last 2 episodes as I was editing and blasting my own voice into my ears for hours at a time, that I spoke way too fast, and it made listening, definitely harder, and editing so much more egregious because of the difficult speech patterns that thinking that quickly made me get into. And so here I am, post-revelation, trying to put it into play. I am actively trying to slow down and, take it easy a little bit, let my mind catch up to what I'm thinking. And even though I, to myself, feel super slow, I'm going to put the faith in the fact that most people will be okay with this speed, and they can always speed it up anyway. Oh, will you look at that, an empty cup? All right, now let's disconnect the power line here and then walk over to this wall near which the black tea is. Still piping hot. I mean, it must have been held in a hydro flask or something, not a sponsor. Because I think it's high time that we kind of dive into this hot take. For those of you who know me and don't know me, I am a pretty textbook doomer. That's a boomer with a D, like dog. I think that a lot of humanity is going the wrong way. I think that as a society, we value the wrong things, and we just kind of have our priorities upside down. But allow me to dive into that at a later date, just because that is such a monstrous plate. I just don't have it in me to kind of unload that right now. It's going to require a lot more thinking, processing, and structuring in order to not sound like a lunatic. So expect that coming in the future. But suffice it to say that this black tea revelation is just another sliver of the I hate the world pie. It's just another data point, another facet of why I'm a doomer. So I have a friend going through med school right now. We'll call him Kent. He's going through some tough times. He's in the middle of nowhere, away from friends and family, to attend his med school. He's gone through some personal issues. And, let's not forget to mention, like, I'll be the first to say it, but not the last. Med school is no joke. The amount of stuff you have to learn, the responsibility and expectations of you, not to mention, all the debt that you will inevitably come out with, is just a lot to take in. And so compound that with everything that's going on in Kent's life and then the pandemic. Things aren't too hot. Now, we all go through tough times, and this isn't to say that Kent's timeline is not important. He's struggling, and struggles are all valid. But what really, is the needle that broke the camel's back is the med school portion. So this is just the way I like to see it is it's just another kind of manifestation of societal inhumanity, particularly in the pre-med scene. The villain of this story goes by two acronyms, either the EMR or EHR, acronyms that stand for Electronic Medical or Health Records, respectively. So this evil little bugger essentially is what it sounds like. It's an electronically kept record of all your medical or health issues. Like, what's so bad about that? That sounds like a good thing to, make sure that we don't forget or that we have a running history of previous ailments. But it gets a little bit more devious than that when we consider the reality of things. From a medical student's perspective, it really boils down to normal people cannot become doctors. If you are a medical student, you have to be able to handle all the stresses that come your way all by yourself. You are not allowed to get help. You're not allowed to speak with a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a therapist, or probably even a counselor. That will go on your record. And in the end, it comes back to bite you in the behind. Because the story goes that if you are not capable of handling yourself, why are you trying to become a doctor and help others? Now, I found this very curious, to say the least. I went to my trusty resource, Reddit, to kind of look for some stories and get more context about what's going on here. And this is a rather known phenomenon, especially in the pre-med field. Tons of students would be asking questions like, will I be okay? Or I don't know what to do because I need the help, but I can't get it because it'll, get in the way of my career goals. I mean, there are some accounts of people going so far as to paying under the table to get help, just so the insurance does not get involved and it can be kept off the record. I think that is absolutely deplorable. I don't think that sounds like a good pattern of behavior in any society. To me, this is absolutely disgusting. Now, can I say I'm surprised? Not really. But again, that's because of my pessimistic views. I definitely see, the quote unquote rationale behind this mechanism, but at the same time, I think that's absolutely absurd. I don't think any student should have to worry about that on top of everything else that they're handling. With the current climate politically, now there's talk about, automation and AI. Um, it really starts to sound like the medical field is going to become overrun with computers that can do the job more efficiently and take the error out. Suffice it to say, I disapprove. The official just AWOL opinion is that me no likey. But at the same time, let's not kid ourselves. I'm most likely not the first person to discover this, nor will I be the last. And I'll be darned to be naive enough to think that I can do anything about it. There's enough lobbying and red tape bureaucracy to go around the globe a bajillion times. This is not something that we can just bring up, to tell your local state official and make a change. I think this is just another face of a very, very deeply rooted problem. For what it's worth, I think the only thing that I can do is to kind of speak up about it because I think it is wrong. And the more that people know, the better the chance that the problem will have to be remedied in some sort of way. No, I don't know the answer, and nor do I think that there is a simple answer, but at least spreading the word is a good place to start. I'll leave you with that for today. This closet is hot. Until next time, take it easy and take care.